Hopefully that goes through. Don't know if it will. Let's see. Bear with me for one moment. How's this thing do? Okay. Okay, I will be right back. Okay, all right. Let's see. Just started going live and already had to be right back. See how long we can keep this up. So we're not going to actually do a full dev stream tonight, or standard dev stream for Wolfthorn like we typically do. Probably be doing that tomorrow, hopefully, is the goal. And then tonight we'll just be doing a little bit of a mix of boring and fun tasks. We'll see. I don't know exactly what I'm going to try to get done right now, but there's a couple things that I need to do. So I'm trying to think of where we left off as far as what I was working on live. I think, yeah, the last time was beginning of August, actually, was when we were working on the cave, which we didn't get a lot done, but we got some stuff. And I've also done quite a few things since then to it and to other parts of that dungeon. It's essentially an intro dungeon. Let's see. And then after we finish that, we'll be coming back to this world here. And finishing this, or really, we're just at the very beginning, so we have a lot to do here in terms of the world design. So we have not even really started that. Let's see. Got to load my overlay, or my my editor template for streaming. If it gets in the way, I'll change it. I'll load it up. Just basically blocking off the details panel and all that stuff. I don't know why this is like acting like I've never been in this. I've opened this since I've updated my drivers and everything, but for some reason it wants to compile everything again. I don't know why. There's actually quite a few exciting things that I kind of am looking forward to doing in Wolfthorn, but in order to do them, there's quite a few things we need to get done first. I'm kind of trying to get those things done and out of the way, um, so that way I'm not scatterbrained when I'm going and doing all that. Whoa. See, I don't know why it's doing that. Why is it compiling shaders again? I've been in this map like 20 times recently. I wonder if it'll do it again if I close down the project. Because it shouldn't be. It's not good. Don't like that. I've had this problem in the past, but I don't know why it's choosing to do it now. Yeah, it's... Well, let me look at my last commit, because... I'm gonna close down the project after this and just restart it and see if it tries to recompile shaders again. And then as soon as we do that, I'm gonna start, well, we can either continue where we left off, which is probably the most logical thing to do. Or, yeah, there we go. There's a couple other very boring things that I need to get done that I don't want to do, that have to do with assets, but I really don't want to do that right now. We can wait to do that. But this is pretty much where we left off. I had changed a couple things since then. I never finished this thing here. So I was gonna do like a kind of puzzle here. I don't know what I want to do. Kind of light ray puzzle or something. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really decided what I wanted to do here yet. That was pretty much where I left off though. And then I guess since I had gotten back from my trip in August, or at the end of August, I came back and I just did a little bit of stuff here. And basically built this area up. Put a little goblin camp over here. These guys will walk around and do whatever the hell they want to do. And then up here we got a couple archers. And up there, and then up here. I'm probably going to replace a lot of this with like stone assets and stuff. This is kind of just so I could get up here. So it doesn't really look that great. But it worked somehow. And then that, and then a secret area up here. So, and then I had realized, as cool as this looked, all ruined and stuff and caved in, this part up here, I was like, wait a minute. Now, how are they going to get up here? So I didn't really think about that in my design. And so now I'm kind of trying to think what I can do, because it's not like it's like a... I mean, yes, there's planned to be climbing in the game. There is climbing in the game already, but it's very, like, very basic and limited. Like, I mean, it is basic ledge climbing, but it's not. So we can do things with that and do like angles and whatever, but it's not. How do I put this? It's just not. It's not like anything like crazy like this where I could just go up to a fucking rock like this and go climb it. And we're not trying to be like an Assassin's Creed like Odyssey or whatever the new Assassin's Creeds where you can climb pretty much anything, I guess. Um, and Yeah, so we're not doing that, but like, um, so immediately climbing was kind of out of the options we could choose for getting up here. So I started to think about if I could do like a light puzzle or something, or I don't know what I'll do here, where um, something happens. I don't know. Or I could do a lift, could just do that, but I don't know. We might just do that. I'm not sure. Um, and then after that, they go through the spider section, spider cave, which is going to be a lot darker, by the way, than this. It's kind of not not where I want it to be right now, but it will be. And then mm, yeah, that sky atmosphere that I brought in here has kind of changed the lighting a little bit inside to where it's not as dark or dark like down here. So now it's kind of like you can see. I kind of wonder how this is going to be in here too, because I guess it's not going to be that bad once we close this up, because right now, like, I don't think you can really see that. Hold on. You can see it better like that. It's kind of just all opened up like this, pretty much. So we're doing this. Um, that way I can kind of tie it in with where it actually is on the map, which it kind of doesn't make much sense, but I guess it does at the same time. I mean, it's in a place geographically where I can kind of like connect things together logically, but it's not how I intended it to be exactly. I've changed a few things since then and how it basically where it is, and then in relation to where you exit the cave, which I've mentioned on the stream before that the intention was to build all the way up here somewhere. I don't know where exactly, somewhere over here. But I don't know if we're gonna need to do that, honestly. Or if we do need to do it, if it's even gonna be like logically beneficial to do, because it's not, you know, I want this to be a long dungeon, but I don't want it to be like I don't want it to be something that's like, oh, like, oh my God, I want to just be done with this. I'm gonna get out of here. It's like, I guess, some dungeons are like that, but um, for the first one, no, I don't really want that. um, well, I guess I do, but in small amounts, uh, lacking the annoyance uh, would be ideal. Um, so yeah, I'm kind of thinking of what we're gonna do there. Typically I sort of what's the word? I cross-reference maps a lot that I'm working on, and just like the I guess the actual locations where they're at geographically, if I make a dungeon where, all the design things, where is the exit going to come out to? Where's the entrance? If there's more than one exit, where did the secondary or additional routes go? And so like with this, there's only one in mind so far, but then, you know, like I said, things have kind of changed. So now I guess I don't know, could do a little bit more here instead. Um, if I can make it, make sense. Um, geographically is kind of the main thing. But yeah, it's definitely it's changed quite a bit actually. So I think mostly for the better. There's just things that I'm still, and I say mostly for the better because there's still things that I'm thinking about that I'm kind of not too sure on, um, in terms of whether or not I'm gonna keep things that way, or if I'm gonna try something else, basically. So yeah, originally like seats compound shader shades too. Um, I don't know what's happening there about that. Well, actually, I didn't come into this map after I downloaded, installed new graphics drivers. So I guess that makes sense. Um, what's I gonna say? So like, yeah. So like with the original idea was, and again, this background, this mountain, all this stuff is kind of just, it's kind of just there. Like the idea was, you know, you go through that dungeon, but you come out to this entrance, kind of a snowy mountain peak. So you're kind of like, you've gone underground for quite a bit of time. You've maybe gone through some of these mountains, but the idea, I don't know, it's I'm gonna have to think about what I want to do here, you know? Whatever this this background mess is, it's kind of again just placeholder, but all of this stuff is really but how I'm gonna make that tie in basically. And I guess it doesn't have to be like 100% like, if I'm doing things this way, it doesn't have to be 100% like, okay, yeah, this is like, this has to be all like a snowy mountain thing, it has to, everything has to match up exact. At first I was kind of thinking like that, but I don't think it really needs to be like that. It just needs to be believable, and right now it's kind of not, to be honest, because of how things have changed and how I've um, ended up doing things with the design of that cave or cavern, whatever, dungeon, whatever you want to call it. So I suppose, you know, kind of just reworking this area to be more of like a darker, more snowy area, I guess, just building up over here, kind of bordering, the forest and all that stuff will hopefully solve that problem. And then whatever else I decide to do in this world, to make it feel a little better, I guess. We'll improve that because right now, yeah, again, it's just it's lacking the same um it's lacking the same, I guess, biome even really, I guess would be a word we could use, because it's not, you know, you could say they're coming from all the way out there in those snowy mountains and they've gone through like a passageway here, you know, through the mountains maybe, and then came up through this mountain. I don't know. You know, there's a million things we could do there. And up, you know, north this way, this is, you know, snowy territory here, you know, um, beyond that mountain. And then if we go to Lamandras, that's, I believe I've done that in here as well. I don't know if I've one second. Yeah, so I just haven't really filled it in to where you can really see too much, but you don't I haven't really gotten to that part yet where I'm filling in that part of the background because you're not really gonna see it too much anyways. I don't know what the hell that's from. It must be from one of the mountains I copied. The fuck? I have to remind myself to come back and delete that. Well, I'll do it anyways. 'Cause I'm gonna see it when I come in here and I actually start really, really focusing on this world here. Which, again, we're not there yet. After we do the dungeon, then we'll focus on here, on this world. Um, but you know, yeah, there's a couple different things we can do. Really, we have. I kind of have this idea of maybe putting an in between too, um, like originally the cavern location would have been somewhere around here, right? Um, but I guess it might make sense for it to be more like there, like in the middle. Um, and that's kind of a possibility, really, because we go to the map, which I'm not sure why that's not open. It should be m_world or not m_. GUI. That's not it. That's it. So, okay. So, like, basically between there, um, which would make sense, for it to be there. Again, we just have to fill in that area, really. So that's where we're at. So I had the idea to put it up here once in La Mantras, but and it would really be more like, yeah, like around right there. So that's certainly a possibility for us to do that. And as a matter of fact, I think what I can do, um, and maybe even just kind of mock up that area a little bit by putting like something there to identify that's where we want it. And I think I know what I can do for that. Yeah. Since when was I streaming on YouTube? Um, since I guess since now. I don't know. No. No, I've been streaming on YouTube for a little while. I just haven't been doing my I've only been doing my game dev streams on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. So basically anything I do other than being in Unreal Engine or anything that has to do with game dev at all, I just do I just stream all that other stuff on my Twitch. Because most people who come to my YouTube know me for that, right? Um, but I've been kind of thinking more and more about just doing both on Twitch and YouTube, anyways. Because what's a gaming stream or two gaming streams a week gonna do? To stream on both. I mean, if you don't want to watch that, you're here for just Unreal Engine stuff or whatever, fine. But the only time I'd be doing anything else would be during a live stream, anyways. So I guess then you just wouldn't watch the live streams. you know, um, I don't know. So I'm thinking of just starting to do both, anyways. Um, right now we're doing a lot of just thinking, thinking thoughts, which I can't decide what I want to do. Um, Man, I mean, like I could kind of just brainstorming a little bit, really. So like if I grouped all that and then I did like just bear with me for a minute. Oh, that's trippy. um, okay, I'm gonna do something real quick. I'm gonna do a thing. Anybody who stops in here is probably like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Honestly, I don't know. Copy that. Let's go to Lamondos first. Don't save. So, like, the good thing about the way I'm doing these worlds is I really have a lot of space to kind of mess around with, design wise. Like, I really don't have to be 100% decided on something because I'm literally moving mountains around. Like, I'm like going like, oh, I don't like where that mountain is. Let me move that mountain like all the way over there, and that's where that location is gonna be because it makes more sense. Or I don't know, like maybe it's something with the story that I've developed that I've changed, or something's just different now. This is pretty much, given, taking what I did from the map, from the caverns map. This is about the whole encompassing size of that cavern, or as big as it's really going to get, next to one of the background mountains up here to the next world. Kind of hurts my eyes to look at that because the sun on the snow is super bright. But anyways, so like I have all this room to decide where this is going to be between this area and then over here. Um, I could almost, I mean, I hate to get too excited here, but I could almost do a whole nother area over here instead and just have that be like, because I kind of had this idea since the beginning that I wanted the first world that you go into to be like super hostile. Not like annoying hostile, but to the point where it's like it feels like it feels dangerous, it feels perilous to be in. I don't really see that being anything other than this sort of atmosphere that I created initially, and it was let me just, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just plop this over here, and this is where the Mershaw Caverns is gonna be now. We've just made that decision that this is where it's gonna be all the way over here. I know this is a little bit trippy to look at this kind of shit. I'm moving around in such large spaces over here, but trust me, I kind of sort of know what I'm doing to some degree. Um, to the extent of how much that is, I don't know. Figure it out. I almost kind of want to make that like really big, so I know like, well, let me just go full screen actually, and then screenshot where it's at. And then we'll get a screenshot from here too. Yeah, we got a lot of room to play with over here, honestly. A lot. Uh, Obviously, this is not. I mean, this space in reality, it, not only a small percentage of this, in terms of the whole size, is going to be actually you know something we're considering to be a part of the game, right? I mean, a lot of this is just background stuff, but the the reason for that is because it's already just so large. I mean, it's just like even between this, like these two landscapes that we've put in here, the size of these are. I'll have to check the resolution again in a minute. I think I just clicked on it, but um, yeah. I mean, this is just already, you know, we can do a lot with like just this space alone, and I honestly don't want it to be much bigger than that for like a single given world space or region. This is really two regions broken up into one, but um, that mostly for story reasons, and I'll do that in a couple places where I'll kind of split up two worlds into one to make it a little more seamless because I know the player is going to be going back and forth between them a lot, or maybe it's just a part of the game where you'll spend more time in. Um, and since I know that I'm splitting all the worlds up, some of them I can manage to get two of them in and have it functional to be able to optimize it on a level that's realistic, and that fits in with with the expectations I have for the game, and mostly performance is the main thing. Um, but so yeah, what we can actually do now is I'm gonna mark this up on the map, but I'm trying to see. Yeah, so this was my original plan, was to put it actually in Lamondras instead of over there for some reason. It was originally going to be here. You can see I had a couple different ideas as to where I wanted it to be. Um, and most of the thinking is kind of coming down to where I want them to end up, basically, for their first, main open world experience. Where do I want them to leave into? And it's a very, very big decision because it's going to, as the player, it's going to lead you out into your first core experience of the game. Um, Besides, the dungeon aspect, which is where you'll start out in. And I'm actually kind of thinking of doing other things there to play into the story much more than I'd kind of intended initially, because thinking I'm kind of thinking about some things there. I'm not decided, but um, I still have room to do that because we're not set in stone with that. And since we're kind of just focusing mostly on the design of the dungeon itself, um, but so oh yeah, so back to what I was saying though, with this whole area potentially being a new area. So like, or a new world space over here, potentially. Um, so geographically, that puts it just north of the Edenford. So that puts it about right here, and it puts it in between. It puts it sort of in between in between Zithil and the Edenfords. So about right here between this area. Um, so like if we go to Zithil, Zithil's kind of this area over here, and it's very snowy, like blizzard-like area, I guess. Surrounded by mountains, so you don't really see anything beyond that, really. It's mostly just very, very tall mountains. So if I go save, I'm actually gonna save that. My PC's gonna fucking explode again, I guess. Oh boy. You know, I put a new bot in my Discord for the YouTube thing because I apparently I disabled the Me6 shit and it fucking broke my bot. And I go look at the fucking announcement thing that it posts in the Discord, and it's literally just posting the announcement, but it's got no fucking link. Like, what's the fucking point in that? Okay. I'm having problems with that. I wish I knew how to fucking make my own. I would probably pay someone to do that in the future. If anyone knows how to do Discord bots, I will pay you to make me a bot that actually works. That I don't have to pay for annually or monthly or whatever the fuck, because I don't really want to do that. Um, anyways, this, yeah, so this is pretty much that space. It's very foggy-ish, or I don't know what you'd call this. Overcast, maybe? I don't know. Snowy area, you know. And so pretty much all you're seeing is the mountains around that, and then beyond that you don't see much because it's so cloudy and foggy that you really won't see anything else. But that's kind of the idea, the setting of this area. And then, you know, as it gets darker, nighttime, it's interesting. You know, then you really don't see much. That's actually pretty epic. I don't want to take a screenshot of that. Sometimes I just get it in the right position and I'm like, I kind of like what I see sometimes. Sometimes I don't. I mean, you know, the dynamic day-night cycles are subjective, you know, completely subjective, you know. You could look at it one way for a minute, and then the next minute it's like, you know, it's not as pretty, you know, but they are hard things to tackle in terms of um, visual design and atmosphere design, or you know, whatever you want to refer to that kind of work as. You know, it's a mix of different things, really. Lighting and post process, and but like, you know, you have different scenarios for everything. So yeah, the main focus is having the nighttime and just the primary daytime um, settings look good. In this map, it can get pretty bright sometimes because of the snow. Um, and also some post-process settings, which we've brought down the brightness because it was at a point, you know, what was it? Not even like a year ago, where it was so bright that, I mean, it was so bright that I don't understand how I kept it that way for that long. I guess it just wasn't really my focus or something, or I had to have enough people tell me that it just hurts their eyes or whatever. I mean, even here it's kind of bright, but I don't know, it's different depending on. This isn't really the best place to test this, but it's much better than it was. I'll say that. It's got a lot of work to do, but anyways, I don't know why I'm still in this map. Going back to Lamandris. So we have some exciting stuff to do here. So we actually have an opportunity to essentially build out again like a whole new section over here. And kind of make this the perilous, dangerous, whatever you want to call it, different adjectives for the same thing. Uh, World space that I wanted it to be, and that's kind of, if I were to kind of pick something that I have now that lined up with that, um, it would be the Agdon Valley that I worked on initially. That I thought, hmm, you know, was going to work great until, I changed things in the story and I realized that it's going to be in the game. It's staying in the game. It's just not going to be an initial starting area for the game, right? And the reason for that primarily was, again, it was due to mostly story changes, really. I had spent some time re kind of reworking the story, writing it down, and just paying a lot more, or writing more into it, and then paying more attention to it the beginning of this year than I had the previous year, where I was kind of focusing more on on the game itself, and a lot of things to do with that. Um, but we ended up changing some things story wise, and I kind of realized that I just didn't want it to take place. I didn't want it to the story and the game to take place in an area where there's really not too much going on. To be quite honest, at the very beginning of the game, and by that I mean, um, over here, it's kind of more the heart of the game, I guess, because you have you have so much more here. There's a lot more worlds all over here, world spaces. I mean, regions that we plan to fill out, and just a lot of things we can do, right? And in terms of the story, and this is kind of again the most important thing, was it it began to make a lot of sense why it would start here as opposed to all the way over here. And you know, one of the main reasons, um, that kind of came into fruition was when I kind of play tested it through, and then I realized where you ended up basically after you went through the Agden Valley, and that would have been Zepha, which is a very um, it's a very again a very dark area. It's one of the older areas in the world in the continent that houses a lot of lore and just things that have to do with the story that I don't I didn't really want the players to get to um at the very beginning of the game. It just didn't make sense to me. Um, so yeah, I kind of had to walk myself through that process, and it's kind of I would say maybe a bit strange the way I did that, but I'm glad I did it that way because it opened my eyes to a lot of different things actually. So yeah, this was it, and then you'd come out through the Agden Valley here essentially. Um, if I could stop compiling shaders, it'd be nice. Through here, yeah. So I mean, it definitely had that perilous atmosphere that I had been describing this whole time that I wanted in the very beginning, really from the very beginning. But in terms of where it was at, and where I was tying things in, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense, and it just wasn't everything I wanted it to be. So and that was this initial area that you played through, so the more linear area, but it brought you through the Agden Valley, which it's actually a very small region, um, or level. It's not big at all. You start in this little cave, work yourself out, you go through here, beat up some bad guys and all that, come across your first ruin, you know, soul door, a little boss guy over here. The fortress would have been, yeah, here, which is actually, that was another thing that we did. And then, yeah, and then you work your way up through this little mountain pass up here. So yeah, it was definitely gearing towards what I was after, but it's not, it just wasn't matching up exactly with what I was wanting. And then, the fortress level, which was over here and where the intro led you to that I created, which I haven't shown, would have had you play through the fortress to escape it and then go out. I guess I really never knew exactly how I was going to do this, and that's kind of why I stopped doing it. But the idea was I was going to go out, um, you know, say they go out this way and all the way back around, which didn't. It didn't make any logical sense at all. That scared the shit out of me, by the way. It didn't make any logical sense, to be honest. Um, so yeah, I guess the idea is going to be kind of creating, I mean, a little bit of a similar atmosphere to this, really. Probably a little bit different, but we might, it's still a very snowy atmosphere is kind of what we would be going for. Um, and then yeah, so now, and yeah, this is gonna stay in the game, so this will still be a playable region. It just won't be. It'll probably turn into something else, maybe a quest or something, side quest. I don't know, or another storyline. Who knows? Kind of had this idea of doing like like different storylines, kind of like how I've seen that be a thing in a lot of big like RPG games over the past like I've kind of really paid attention to it the past few years where they do like full on, I call them storylines or whatever, and they do like different chapters of the game that way. Um, that are maybe side quests that have to do more with the story than some other, side quests, but it's still meaningful, in some way. um, or it introduces a character or whatever, Um, which I like that idea. Um, I like that idea and concept of doing things. So I think what I'm going to do is just copy that for now and paste it in. Paste it in the at and forwards level, and then I think tomorrow or between tomorrow and Sunday, I'll probably try to fill it out a little bit and then just kind of decide, you know, write it into the story how I want that to be exactly. Because again, this is kind of a new decision here. That seems to have not copied where I wanted it to. Let's wait do that actually, because I think I have an idea as to why it would be doing that. Um, mm, All right. Bear with me for a moment here. So I'm probably gonna have to build out around this a little bit more so I can position that more correctly, and then once I have some kind of placeholder there, I'll be fine. But I also need to do more planning in general with that and where I want it. So I might take it in like, I took some screenshots, so I might just take that up in some kind of photo editing thing, software, GIMP, Canva, whatever the fuck I end up using, and do that way. So I'm gonna do so. So pretty much it's gonna be all this area here. I actually want to take this instead of doing this in here. I could do that in Wonderdraft actually. With my actual map. I do this I think this is the one that I did. Yeah. Which I guess is fine. The only problem with this one is it didn't have all the markers and stuff that I put on there. So I kind of just got to like look at it and go, oh, that's relatively where that's at. See, I still need to do that. Because this is just more for the geography aspect than anything. So yeah, I'm kind of just thinking right now what I want to do. So it'd basically be right there. I mean, for now, I could kind of just leave it and not mess with that yet, but I'll have to come back in probably tomorrow and finish up there. Let's see. Alright, I will be right back, and then suppose we'll maybe work on the cave for a little bit, and then there's a couple other things that I wanted to actually start working on, because I know most of the stream we've kind of just been going. I've been kind of going through my thought process and stuff and things, and basically walking through what the plans are, or what we're currently doing, anyways. So yeah, I will be right back and we'll pick up from there. Okay. So, thinking a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm kind of just gonna fill it out, I guess, for now, like this, with these landscape assets. That I just wanted to test and see if they'd work, and kind of just mash something together over here real quick. And then eventually, once we, finish this, it'll become our background for this area. So I'm just going to focus on the outside pretty much. Be 100% perfect. We're just kind of doing something there for now. That area can probably fit about 2 landscapes in there. Again, just a mock-up of everything so far, but it gets the idea across. Now we just gotta match it up with this map. And okay, so that didn't copy for some reason. And so this, by the way, does not have to be perfect for a couple reasons. The main thing is when I'm doing this between maps that you're not really gonna, like in this map, for example, you're never gonna see all that over here. You're just not. You might see things that are tall, like if it's taller than the background mountains, things like that I might include in in sort of the end result, but beyond that, it's all just it's mostly just for me to connect things geographically. It's just part of because of how I do this whole process. It's part of how I can can reference areas pretty easy that way. Of course it didn't fucking group any of this shit. Okay, so let's do this again. Is that all of them? It's definitely copied now. Yeah, because like I haven't even done that part, you know, the mountains surrounding that area in this map either. So it's only gonna be, you know, I kind of do this as needed to piece things together, essentially. Um, so yeah, here we're pretty much just gonna put it relatively where we had it in the other map. It doesn't have to be super perfect, even though I might cross-reference my image just to double check. Like I said, it doesn't need to be perfect. It's just kind of relatively in this area. Only reason I try to perfect things that don't need to be perfect is because I'm so fucking OCD that it's almost borderline um insanity sometimes. The way that I am. But you know, it's a thing. Um but yeah, so like generally that's kind of yeah, you're not really gonna see, like I said, you're not gonna see any of that over here at all while you're playing through this. Um so it is simply there for reference. What is going on here? I guess it didn't like me doing that. Something's happening. Hmm. Okay. Great. Just give it a minute. Come on. Am I gonna have to end this fucking thing? Are you kidding me? Oh my god. My engine is broken. Wait, it's gone. I think. I don't know. I'll give it like a minute. No, I don't really want to. Fuck. Hmm. Okay. Wait. It's gonna fucking do anything or what? Hmm. Okay. I'm just not really trying to corrupt a map right now. I don't really feel like doing that. I mean, if I can avoid it. Yeah, it's definitely frozen. Um, okay. So I'll just end that, I guess, in the task. Which, okay, there you go. I'll do this again. Hopefully I didn't just corrupt the map, because that would kind of suck. I have to fucking revert changes again. You know, that's another thing that I'm currently working on is I'm finally getting into NAS systems. And so with that being said, I'm kind of thinking of things I can do for like project sync and stuff where I can not rely on Git 100%, but like kind of have Git as like, yeah, like I have an offsite uh project backup location, whatever. Um, and then I have the NAS with whatever I do for syncing and backup and data stuff like that. Um, and then local backups I have on other machines. So that way, um, I'm covered on a lot of bases that I honestly just you think of these things like you think you know most people I guess are hesitant at first, or they don't really understand how important it is until something bad happens, and then they're like, oh, I should have done this from the beginning. I should have had all this set up, and I really should have, to be honest. Operating a home business and doing all that stuff, it's kind of a big deal, to be honest. But anyways, that's my little thing about NAS systems. I don't really have that much more to say about it, honestly, other than I'm kind of excited to start doing something with it. I have to wait for another 20 terabyte to get here because um, I'm gonna set up. I'm probably gonna set up RAID 5 or RAID 1. I don't really want to do RAID 5. Think about it. Um, Sorry, I'm kind of just. But yeah, so okay, so we'll do this again and I'll fucking burn my eyes out. No, no, I don't have to do it again because somehow it fucking saved. I don't know how. How did that, how, dude? Like what? It didn't save the, you have another text render in here? Yeah, so I'm probably not going to do, you know, I'm not going to do all this over here, obviously. This is just for me to visualize things again. So I know generally what I'm doing, for the most part. Let's see here. I guess I only, doesn't really matter. The next thing is going to be on the actual map. I guess it's good. I don't know. I guess it's not corrupt somehow. I literally ended the task while it was saving. You know, some things really puzzle me because with UE4, it's kind of inevitable, um, really, but at least from my experience, if you have to do that, um, but for some reason it's fine. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's a whole lot of files. Yeah, yeah, it is a lot of files. There's, that's another reason why I just invested in an S because I again I'm kind of realizing these things, um, as I continue to work on this project, and it's a long project. It's a very long term project. This has been going on for years, um, even at its infancy stages of development when I was just writing pages and stuff, sketching little things, whatever. Um, and so yeah, it means a lot to me. And when it's ready to come out, it'll be released, and I hope other people enjoy it. But ultimately, yeah, it's important that I cover all my bases in terms of backing all this stuff up, and so I've gone ahead and just recently done that, and I'm setting everything up. Um, Finished setting everything up Monday because that's when I get the other drive, but it wasn't cheap. It was a little more than I wanted to spend, but it's you got to do what you got to do. When stuff is important, you have to fork it out, man. So I'm kind of thinking right now. I think I'm gonna go back to the caverns. Focus. Easier said than done. Focus is only part of it. The other main part is just time. Just time. Takes time. A lot of time. Sometimes 3 years, 4 years, um, more maybe. But I think I'm gonna pick back up on this. But before I do that, yeah, I wish there was a way that I could, that's something I really need to do. I need to get all, I need to get this map with all these markers into WonderDraft so I can work on things in there and have all the, because I added the markers. It's kind of like, I mean, I guess this is just the way I did this. Because I created the map or designed the map in WonderDraft, and then um, which for those of you who don't know what WonderDraft is, it's basically just a, it's meant for, it's meant for like D&D maps and you know all that stuff, but I use it for this, and it's honestly pretty cool. It saves me a lot of time. You know, I can just go in there and make a neat looking map with this with all the basic geography, you know, and then go and do whatever I want to do with it. But yeah, anyways, I need to get this with all the markers kind of in there so I can visualize things better. I will say this map is kind of getting a little dated. Like it's at this point, it's like um, it's kind of just looks like a mess. But you know, it's doing what it's supposed to do for now. It's just not. There's definitely going to be a overhaul for that. Like that is not what's going to stay in the game. I can tell you that right now. Because for one, it's not really a actual map, and the geography's changed a little bit. You know, even though we do have like the mountains and stuff here and there, everything's accurate when it comes to that. It's just not you know um, one on one with everything, or as much as I'd like it to be, anyways. So let me. Gosh, I need to think about how I want to do this. So I do want to spend a little time on the cave, but before I do that, I kind of want to figure this out. Um, I go back to my obsidian board. I'm just gonna kind of read through a little bit of what I've put in here. Okay. Okay, so this is where this is going to change because if I'm going to do things this way now, I actually will not be. Well, I guess it would technically be considered still a part of the Ettenforts. The mountains up north would be part of that, but the actual region is going to be something different. Or we could just be really lazy and just call it Northern or North Ettenfords. I don't know. I don't really want to. I don't really want to be lazy though. You know? I'm not. Every time I get a chance to think of something and be creative, I try to do it. You know, or generally do that. Um, but yeah, and so this is kind of like I guess more or less a path markup of how I was doing things here. which actually now makes a lot more sense because now I have that area in between filling this in, which is going to be where the cavern is, like about right there. So I guess I just got to write stuff for it since it's new. Um, and yeah, so I mean, I know it's going to be a snowy area. I know generally how I want the biome to be. Um, I know what kind of mood I want for it. So I kind of have like the basics of that down. Um, yeah, it's just going to be writing it in, really. So it's going to be really sloppy, but yeah, this is too tiny for me to make this up like this. Let's see. I didn't want it to do that. No, stop. I kind of ran out of room here for me to do this. I hate being so OCD like this where I have to fix things that are just that really honestly don't matter. Um, like what? Okay. Um, Let me do this. Let me actually. This almost needs to be its own like graph at this point because it's kind of just becoming a little bit of, little bit of a like this is supposed to just be for one part, one um one level, I guess, or one main mission, and it's like kind of becoming more of like a I don't know. I mean, it's brainstorming. It's definitely what it is. And you can tell if you go through any of these, you'll see that. But there's a difference between um, organized brainstorming and just um, mess, basically, which I don't want this to get to that point. So, um, for now, let me just do this. I'm going to extend this down here. Mm, we got a bunch of random images with little context. Great. Let me actually do this. Let me actually do this. I keep fucking moving shit around. Or actually, yeah, so this is all still kind of happening, right? This is all part of the story still. Where it's different is this first part, and then we mentioned the Attenfords, and then from here we're kind of just adding to it at this point. After this last um, after this last bit here. Mm, just copy one of these with the text in it. How I want it. I'm just calling it a new region because I don't know what I want to call it. Just trying to count how many times I've done this too at this point. Gone through a lot of changes with this story. kind of reading through what I have in here again because kind of trying to make sure it all makes sense. Anytime I change something like this to this extent, I kind of have to do that. Yeah, because it's a pretty big deal. Because I mean, we had room to do this. We're early enough in the design stage to do this. Um, it's just a matter of kind of shifting around some things and trying, trying to make sure there's nothing that doesn't make any sense or any of the gaps. I don't know how to read right now. I really, really don't. Like, you know, I don't know. I'm like zooming around, like, oh, let me skim through that. Let me skim through this. Okay. To start the game, leading a small company. Okay, we get that part. Brought to, no, that's, so this is gonna change here because we're not in the end forwards anymore at this point. This is kind of what I was saying too, is I could have, I could say it's a part of him, part of that area. Um, but really it's not. It's not. So this kind of leads us to the next part, which is come up with a name for whatever this is going to be. And to be honest, I'm a little bit too brain dead to do that right now. I can't think of a name. So usually I'll sit down and do this for a while. I'll go through different contexts of mythology, different language, uh, roots. What kind of I sit there for a while thinking about things. I'm just gonna rename this stream to thinking until my brain blows up or some crazy stuff like that. That's pretty much what I'm doing. So let's see. That's all. This is still gonna be how it is. We're not changing any of this. Um, yeah. So now, luckily, I've written just that part loosely enough to where I can, we can fit this in, and it's gonna. I think it's gonna end up being really good. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a name. We're gonna think of a name for that, and then what else? Okay, so we originally thought it was gonna be there. Now it's over here. So I just need to maybe mark up on that image that that's where the Marshall Caverns is. Let me do that real quick. Oh, we got to give the mountain a name too. You know, this is the problem with this shit is it's just never ending names. Like the mountain has to have a name. The fucking town has to have a name. The everything has to have a name, and we have to think of one that's not fucking boring. You know, because I'm sorry, but I like to put a lot more thought into things like this. Like I don't see it enough these days. You know, you see like, and I guess I fall into this in some areas too. But you know, you see things like the dark forest or the um the dry plains or you know, just fucking you know what I mean. And some games are pretty creative. You know, they come up with things based on what they should. You know, things that have to do with inspiration or the climate, biomes, landmarks, maybe is another thing. In this, it's more just really, I'd say the largest thing in this is mythology. Because we draw a lot of name or naming conventions from that, and historical languages, stuff like that. Um, unnamed, unnamed snowy mountain. That's the best I can come up with. Mm, well, since it's the Mershal Caverns, why don't I just call it the Mershal Mountain? Like, you know, I don't know, man. Break, break back mountain. No. Um, no, I gotta like actually seriously think. Um, you know, there's naming conventions that I've written in here that in Wolfthorn that I've used so many times though that like sometimes I'll come back around them and I'll try to use them again. And or language contexts, and then it ends up being like, oh wait, didn't I already have a location that has that name, so I have to go and check. But God, man, that's hard. um and if anybody has a name for a freaking mountain, let me know, because I can't think, to be honest. You know what, I have an idea. going into my story document real quick because I'm kind of just skimming through shit that will give me ideas. All right. It's like you can't make this shit up. Okay. Let's, no. Like, where the fuck did I get that from? Like, I just pulled that on my fucking ass. Like, that's just what I think of. Like, what? Um, that's fine. That's fine. I don't care. Really don't care because I don't want to sit here for like an hour trying to name a mountain. 'Cause that's the kind of thing that I do. That text is so hard to read. I don't. Why the fuck are you using that? And that bothers me the way that's laid out. Let's do this. Almost need to let's do this. Is that not gonna move with that? Like I can't just. What do you mean untitled? I just titled that. Dude, dude. Thank you. Of course, that's gonna be okay. Let me just move that. Wow, we are really dragging that on. More than I want to. More than I wanted to, anyways. But I guess it's what it takes, right? Yeah, making this area, this new area is going to be a lot of fun. Just a lot of things with it that I'm already kind of thinking of that I'm like pretty excited to start doing. So let's see here. So yeah, sooner I finish the cave, sooner I'll get to do that. There's some motivation. um, yeah, but that's kind of the main thing right now. The hell did I call this mountain? You see, like these are the things that happen to me where I'm like, I come up with these crazy ass names that nobody would think of. And then I go in here trying to write shit in my notes, and I actually forgot it a second time. Hang on a minute. Ah, that is a long sentence. At the start of the game, where he was leading a small company of allied warriors commanded by King Girthford from the mainlands towards the south fortress of Argos to scout the area in preparation for an assault. What the fuck is this? Of an allied assault of the fortress where when they are captured by Erdengrad, Oryx brought to Urgoth's hideout in brought to an Urgoth hideout in the tall mountain Mount Yusus, north of the Entfords and south of Zithel. Okay, cool. I guess that makes fucking sense. I don't know. Uh, hmm. And now I have a lot of fucking work to do. A lot. So yeah, for this, gotta finish the cavern, story events that happen within it. Then I'm still writing as I'm doing this. This is the game design part. Uh, and then yeah, as soon as we finish the cavern and then start to work on this, we're gonna start building pretty much the beginning of the actual game. So um and then as we continue to develop it, we'll get to fill in everything else with what we've been working on um all this time. So yeah, yeah, that works for me. Let me just check to see if, let's see, I gotta, that's one thing that I don't like about Obsidian is that it doesn't necessarily group all of your assets together um, automatically. It puts them in, like if you have it set up how I do, which is it, that's probably part of the problem is I'm just not using it correctly. With multiple design canvases in one vault, it'll just automatically add everything uh to the main folder. It won't put it in with everything else. So if I put an image in here or a screenshot, I have to manually move it in there. Just kind of annoying, but anyway. Closed the map. And yeah, so whatever this atmosphere out here is, we're probably going to replicate it in in that region that we're creating, and that's going to be it, is essentially. And actually, if I open up the map again, so I keep changing my mind. Yeah, so that's going to be that's pretty much right in the center of everything. That's kind of where I want it. Which is actually quite fitting in terms of the design because this whole time, most of the world design has been around this area. Most of it. Most of the work has gone into this. Uh, so basically, with what we're doing in the beginning of the story, we're by having it start around here roughly, we're having it kind of start in the middle of everything. The southern hold, which is your first main primary hold that you'll start in. And I believe, according to my document, each of them have different banners and stuff. Um, yes, they bear the orange banner. So amazing, right? That's all I got. No, yeah, that's all I got for now. But um, that's how you'll know. And I'm kind of designing the actual insignias for each hold too. So it's going to be unique to each one, essentially. They kind of just all look like Whiterun cards at the moment. Maybe a little bit too close to my inspiration of Skyrim and what it did with the holds, but it is the design of the helmet that I did is based on a historical helmet. So yeah, it's real. It's a real helmet, um, apparently. So So we'll continue with this part, and then we'll start working on the main chasm, which will be pretty much, I mean, a lot of this area. I'm kind of thinking what I'm going to do is follow kind of my pattern here, what I was creating, build it up this way. But I also had the thought that, you know, with this idea of having platforms, kind of like how I was doing here initially, or, uh, rock platforms, I guess, whatever. This is just, again, this is just a very basic layout, but I could just go up this way too. But it's a cave, so it's completely, you know, uh, unpredictable. You know, really. Um, it could go any which way, and eventually, make sense. You know. Um, so yeah, at the moment I'm kind of just thinking of what I want to do, but I don't know. How long have we been going on for? Because I do want to do a continued stream tomorrow. I'm not really counting this as a as a standard. What the hell is anyways? Uh, Wolfthorn stream, but or Wolfthorn dev stream, but you know, uh, kind of ended up being one to some degree. But yeah, we'll actually do some stuff I think tomorrow. Hopefully continue this tomorrow or Sunday morning or afternoon. We'll have to decide. I still haven't come up with a schedule, but I've kind of made it like a thing that I have to like by this year, and that's not a big ask. By this year, I have to come up with a schedule. Um, Something that I can actually stick to, and that way, whenever I do these live streams, nobody has to miss them because they'll know when I'm going live. And unlike, um, I know so many other um, YouTubers or YouTubers, Twitch streamers, whatever, who don't have a schedule, and it's hard to yeah, I mean, it's hard to get people to stop on in when you don't really have one. So I'm hoping to have that sorted out by this year. We'll see. Um, and really, that'll help me too, in terms of keeping consistency because um, it's absolutely doable. It's just a matter of setting the time aside um, and doing it. So yeah, I think we'll probably stop here for now. Um, Trying to think, and then yeah. So tomorrow, what I'm gonna do is, well, I'm gonna probably work on this a little bit in the meantime. Not too much off stream because I want to do a lot of this on stream, and then man, if we could just grind out the cavern in one like long ass stream, that would be really cool. I don't know if we can do that, but I think maybe I don't know. I mean, I kind of have a really good idea of how I want things now. Like I'm at a point where I've been kind of working on this long enough to where because I've been taking my time. I mean, I will admit I've been taking my time. I've been doing other things too. This hasn't been even for this project. This hasn't been the main thing. I mean, it's been one of the main things, but it's not the main thing. Um, it's been many other things I've been working on, but um, yeah, it'd be nice if we could grind this out and then work on the world or the new region next, which is gonna be where you'll exit out to. So that'd be pretty cool. Um, I need to honestly, like, it'd be kind of good for me to maybe gather some reference images and stuff that I want. Um, um, One thing that I do have to show, and I will show it again tomorrow, is that Cinti Studios just released a new pack that I think I'm going to use in that region. That is super cool. I mean, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be fun to mess around with, and I like to adapt the assets too. To mess around with things, customize them and stuff. Obviously, um, but I mean, normally I don't get that excited, but this is a pretty. I mean, this is pretty epic. Yeah, this is pretty epic stuff. Um, Honestly, and as you guys know, I do use these, some of these assets in the game. Actually, a lot of the environmental stuff is um, mixed with custom assets and my own characters that I make the characters. And normally I don't go out of my way to even talk about these that much because at the end of the day they're assets. You use them to design your worlds, do whatever, prototype, whatever you want to use them for. Um, in my case, I use a lot of them to adapt to my style, and then I work them into the game with my custom assets, and it ends up being quite nice. But like, yeah, I mean, this is just epic, quite epic. This is thanks to I don't know if you'll stop in here, Draco, but thanks to Draco too for angling on this stuff with the Unreal side of things. He's been doing all the Unreal stuff, I think, for this. He's converting them still. I haven't spoken to him in a little bit, but he's still doing that. Yeah, it's just pretty epic. But very I can see the Lord of the Rings inspiration in in that, and I've been wanting to do a proper asset pack myself. That, the Dark Fortress style, low poly, but to add to my polygonal series because I've been wanting to make more packs for that. Um, but yeah, they're quite excellent. So we'll definitely be using that in this region when we're building the world. I think to some degree. But anyway, we'll go ahead and I think we're going to cut this one off for now. Go ahead and save. I don't think we did anything on there. And I will stop literally right here, so I know where I'm picking up. All right. we will be doing another stream, and hopefully today slash tomorrow, it is today, or Sunday, and probably be in the afternoon or nighttime. I don't think we're gonna be making it for the mornings, but we'll see. All right. Peace out, everyone, and good night.